This is a wonderful day to remember that Jesus is mindful of you. He knows exactly where you are. He knows what you're going through. He knows what your circumstances are. He knows what your dreams are. He knows the situation that sometimes comes to distract you or to overwhelm you. These things happen. But the most important thing to remember is that Jesus is aware, and He always does something about it. Let me show you the reason I can say this with confidence. There's a brief portion of a story in the book of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 14. This is a time that Jesus was really teaching His disciples about Himself. So let's step into this classroom and let's learn what the disciples were intended to learn. This occasion happened immediately after the feeding of the 5,000. Now let's pick up the story in verse 22. Immediately Jesus made His disciples get into the boat and go before Him to the other side, while He sent the multitudes away. And then Jesus, after He had sent the multitudes away, He went to the mountain and prayed by Himself. And when the evening had come, He was alone there in the mountain praying. Verse 24. But the boat, this is the boat that He had sent His disciples across in ahead of Him, the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Verse 25. Now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them, walking on the water. Now the rest of the story concerns Peter walking on the water, but I want to stop right here. Jesus had given them instructions to go ahead and cross. He had done what He needed to do. And then in the middle of the night, in the fourth watch, they were in trouble. They were in the middle of a storm. The winds, the waves, they were contrary. They were causing tumult in the lives and the circumstances of the disciples while they were doing what Jesus told them to do. Now this is why I feel to talk to you about this today. In your life, you may be right in the middle of doing exactly what Jesus has told you to do. You've been obedient, you've been following His word, you've been trusting Him, but all of a sudden you find yourself in the midst of a storm. It could be a personal storm, or it could be a storm through others' decisions. It could be political, it could be financial, it could be physical. There are so many ways that the enemy comes to upset the program of God through your life. But my friends, this is why I'm bringing this to you today. In the middle of that circumstance, we don't even have a record in Matthew's gospel that the disciples cried out. We don't have any record that they were trying to do anything to save themselves. They didn't know what to do. All we see here is they were in a storm. The winds were contrary, and Jesus came to them walking on the water. Now, I love that walking on the water part because we're aware that Jesus will come to us in the midst of our crises to reveal Himself as present and powerful. But this shows that He comes to us also with the miraculous. He didn't just come in another rowboat. He came walking on water, demonstrating His authority and sovereignty over the winds, over the waves, over every circumstance that was contrary to His disciples. Now, my friend, that's Jesus' message to you today. He comes as the sovereign with miracle power in His hand in the midst of your circumstance to bring peace, to bring comfort, to solve the problem, and to reveal Himself to you. So don't be afraid. Expect Him to be right there with His miracles. There is nothing too hard for God. Again, I encourage you, believe in the supernatural presence of Christ. He's there with you.